It's recording then. Okay, so yeah, good. All right. All right. So today I have the honor and privilege. I'm delighted to have Viet Nguyen as my guest on my podcast, Peter's Drive. Thank you, Viet, for giving us some time in your day because I know you're extremely busy. And just a little bit about yourself. You have this food empire in SoCal with up to 600 employees. You and your wife, Ivy Han, you're a power couple, and you've created some amazing brands. Sup Noodle Bar, Vox Kitchen, Gem Dining, Izakaya Kin, Net Cafe, Roll Hand Roll, Ini Restaurantes, the Saigon Grand Center, and Key Coffee House. And I was just looking at the Yelp reviews, and the brands are just so strong. So Vox, 4.5 stars, 5,799 reviews. Gem Dining is 4.5 stars, 1,000 reviews. Nep is 4.5 stars, 2,000 reviews, just for example. I'm just like so honored and so happy to have you. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, thanks for having me.
How are you doing today, Viet?
It's good. I'm sorry. This is my podcast room that we just put together. So the lighting is weird. My face probably looks like I put on makeup or something, but it's just the lighting is. We're trying to figure it out.
I think you look great. You look great, Viet.
Thanks.
And I just want to thank you for inviting me to your Like a Boss event that happened. Like I think it was last week, and that was just really like it was a really great experience. Like just being in that room with all these people, it was really inspiring to hear Ivy speak and Michelle Fan speak as well, and just like the way you give back to community, right? Even you gave me a free ticket to go to this event, and even then, going to the event, you gave me all the people that attended the event like a $20 voucher to try one of your restaurants. Like, why did you do these things?
Well, at the very beginning, Kei Concept has always been about, I would say, empowering Vietnamese people, specifically with Asian-owned businesses. But it's not just restaurant that we focus on, right? In the beginning, actually, I have my background in computer science and finance, and I was almost going to film for a while. So it's always about art and investment. So if you really think about it, it's art and investment. I opened so many other businesses, just all of them failed. But the goal has always been about how do I monetize art in general. Obviously, at the very end of the day, culinary art was the art form that really just landed me on a map. But overall, like my goal has always been monetizing art in general. So one form of it would be live performance. And the other day when you came to the event, that was more of a live event kind of performance that we kind of put together. But in general, you're going to see a lot more of that from us because we're not just about culinary art, not just about restaurant, but art in general. We did a few other events that you probably didn't know about, but there's some music concerts that we do. We really want to do some plays, some musicals and stuff like that too in the future. So overall, it's a company where we love art, and so we just invest into all forms of it.
That is amazing that you are a patron of the arts, because I feel like for art, it is a concept that not many people can enjoy, right? Yeah. It's for the privileged, I think.
Oh, well, in a sense, it's not really. I mean, if you looked at the way that humanity has evolved over the years, I mean, if you look back into some of the best findings, right? It's not just about the pyramid or like these crazy arts, like you said, it's for the privilege. It's not true. Even just a small painting in a cave was art, right? Art, to a lot of people too. Have you seen that one artist? I completely forgot his name, but he literally just duct tape a banana onto the wall, and that was one of the things that I spoke at the event. Liberal arts is the art for the people, and I love it. Like that's why I love Banksy. I mean, he probably my favorite artist, right? So I think art in general is in many forms. So it doesn't like, I mean, look at jazz music. It used to be, the background of it was not fancy, right? It wasn't like an orchestra, or hip hop music where it is today is amazing transformation. So to me, I feel like art is for everybody, not just for the privileged. Just the way that we look at it. I mean, if you want to tape the banana to the wall and sell it for $150,000, you could, or literally anybody could do that, right? The idea is there. I feel like we just need to, I would say, popularize art in many different forms to make it more accessible. Kind of like, I think a bowl of pho for $6, $7 is an amazing piece of art, and it's very affordable.
Yeah, that's really cool. I noticed that I'm trying to bridge the gap between being an entrepreneur as well as just being in the employee mindset, because literally, like, I think I saw your events as well, but I wasn't in the right state of mind to take advantage of the events that you provided. So that's a kind of the thing that I think many people are struggling with. Do you have any advice on that area?
On us being an employee versus entrepreneur?
Yeah.
Well, essentially, you can always be entrepreneurial in any possessions. I mean, of I would say society placement, right? So possession of society placement is some sort of thinking that, if I'm being tasked as being a busser or a server, my place is that. And I think that's not true. I think you could really be entrepreneurial at any level. It's nothing that would be stopping you from being entrepreneurial if you work a 9-to-5 job, but then you're doing something on the side. So I think as long as you have self-development and I would say personal goals, it is achievable for everybody, I think. So
I see.
It doesn't have to be, you don't have to be a boss, or you don't have to be a manager or someone with power in order for you to be entrepreneurial at all. I've seen some of my employees that have side businesses that generating like, I would say almost the same amount they would be making at a restaurant. But they still work at a restaurant just because, they need a stable job. But for their side businesses, they're just very strong at it. So I wouldn't stop anyone from doing what they love on the side.
Understood. I'm curious about your background. You said that you had a background in finance and also computer science.
Yeah.
That's kind of, your path seems unusual, because usually a computer science person will start like a software company or something, or work in software.
I did. It just didn't work out. Yeah. So, I mean, I love computer. I used to build boutique PCs for gamers, and I'm a gamer myself. I'm watching esports. So deep down, I'm a nerd, right? So deep down, I'm a programmer. I'm not that good at it. That's why I'm not pursuing it. But also thinking of all of the things that I've been doing with computer science, I thought, finance would help me go a step further and understand how to monetize it. So I jumped onto finance to understand, if I'm going to have a piece of software or a software company, how do I even, get that into a startup? And both of them didn't work out, but I always fall back into restaurant. I always fall back into some sort of art. Like I said, we could, I would say this. So let me rephrase that. So if I knew how to monetize an idea, then I would be able to apply it to different forms. And for me, because I'm so into art, right? Every time that I fail at my computer science or software based businesses, I always go back into art-based businesses. And so I would say finance gave me a little bit more of a tool to understand how the economy would work. And based off of that, it helped me to create a company that I created today. And it's just one of it. But we want to also understand how to monetize it. For you right now, I mean, you're doing a podcast, right? In itself, it's a form of speaking art, right? You need to understand how to monetize it too once the time comes. Obviously, it could be a hobby, but it doesn't hurt for you to monetize it, right? So understanding that's what the background would be would help me greatly over the years. So I wouldn't say it's weird. It's just, I think connecting the dots backward has always been working out for me. That's what Steve Jobs said, right? You can't connect the dots looking forward, but once you do so many different things, 5 years, 10 years from now, looking back, you can connect all of the dots. And for me, restaurant check all of that boxes.
I find it really interesting because I just keep hearing that restaurants are such a brutal industry, and labor costs and just like the margins are so low, but you're thriving, so
we are, but we are not in a sense. Whereas from the outside looking in, seems like we're doing really well. But we have to define what success really means to a lot of people. For me, I think I'm doing great as far as being an organization that cares for the community. But am I a very successful restaurant group? I don't think so. There's a restaurant group out there that is a lot more profitable if you put profit as your main driver. For us, is about how many people we can employ, how much we can give back to them, how do we inspire the next generations, a lot more community work. So for us, that's our definition of success. So it's really depending on the people that are looking at our company and what do they define as success. And it is a brutal business. Your margin is extremely low. Even largest company in the world right now, do you know Darden, right? Darden, which is the owner of Red Lobster, Yard House, Olive Garden, you name it. I mean, they did about $10 billion last year. How much was their net profit? To be honest, it's like 8 to 9% year over year. And, there's years that they only doing about 5 to 6%. So the margin is extremely thin, like you said. So to jump into a restaurant, you have to have some sort of romance in it. Like for me, there's a romance into like seeing your customer being happy, 3 generations all sitting together. But knowing for a fact that the margin is extremely thin, but also, the rate of failure is extremely high, right? So it is a brutal business. It is very low margin. But as long as you know your original intention coming into a restaurant, then you should be okay. For us, we understand our original intention. So are our investors. If any of the investors really looking for profit, I would say 1,000% do not invest into Kei Concepts as a whole. It's not to drive crazy profit. What it's designed to do is to drive community engagement.
I see. Thank you for that. And going back to the Like a Boss event, right? With Michelle Fan and also Ivy Han. Tell us about your wife, because you're a power couple, right? That's amazing just to be able to, tell us about that.
I mean, which part of that question do you want to
understand? It's kind of vague.
It's a loaded question,
it's a loaded question. How does she help? And because she's CEO of Kei Concepts, right? Yeah, in that regard. Yeah.
In that regard. So, well, I was the regional founder, so I founded the company. But I think my biggest strength over the years is to realize what my weakness would be, and finding the right people to put into the jobs that I would say mitigate my weakness. So I knew very early on that I was a visionary, and I'm a good enough chef, and my cause was just, but I don't know how to execute it in a very high performing level. So I knew that I needed someone with strong SOP background, standard operating procedure, strong academic background. So at that time, Ivy was actually graduating high honor at Cal State Fullerton, and she was just extremely smart. And then she started working for an aviation company that's dealing with Airbus and Boeing. So I knew that she was just very strong with management. And so I talked to her and say, hey, you know what? I'm not a good manager. I am very creative and I have a vision. Would you want to join on board? And so she, at that time, was still my girlfriend, joined us into this journey and just took on that role. And so we actually, I was CEO and she was just a manager. And then she's just slowly rising to the rank. And then we became co-CEO for a really long time. Right now we're still co-CEO, but eventually she will be the main CEO of the company. And I would just being more hands-on with understanding the business and think of a vision. But for her, she's just extremely strong with running a company. And that's the reason why that she is the CEO. I think that's the right decision that we made. I think the investors also believe that's the right decision, that she should be CEO. But I'm in the back. It's okay to tell people that it's okay for the husband to be the supporting role. And then the wife, if they're very good at it, they should be the lead. I grew up in a family where female leaders are running in a family. My grandma actually started the whole entire company. My aunt is actually the CEO right now of that company. So seeing a female leader in a role is not strange to me at all. So to answer that question for you, people say it's a power couple. I'm just saying it's a powerful female CEO that we're seeing right now. I'm more of a supporting role at the moment.
Yeah, that's so amazing, and just that you're able to allow someone to take the reins, right? And basically, it's really cool.
It's more about continuity, right? So you have to understand a company only exists if the company's mission is just, and it's really making a difference in the society. And whoever is leading the charge is not that person. It's kind of like you voted for a president. It doesn't matter who the president is. They're only there temporarily to hold the office of the presidency. The ideas, the vision of the United States of America is more important. The Constitution is more important. The presidency is important, but not that much. They're just there to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution in a sense. So as long as your company has a constitution, has the right, has the right cause, the company itself needs to be protected. The presidency is only just to help, or the CEO office is only to help carry out that cause. So I'm the CEO, or she's the CEO, or whoever else is going to be the CEO does not or should not matter as far as key concept mission stay intact. Does that make sense? So the continuity for me would be, I've been CEO for 10 years. And I feel like the company needs better, new, fresh direction. With Ivy's taking on as CEO, would have that. And that would help with understanding that the company itself is healthy. As far as, whoever is going to be the CEO should not matter that much. It matters now, as in the newer stage of it, but as years goes by, I feel like, Key Concepts as a whole the mission still need to be there, and as long as we follow that mission, we should be okay.
Understood. Can you dive into anything like, because I know for businesses, right, and running things, there takes sacrifice and like even like family hardships. Would you be open to talking about those topics?
Yeah. Let's go ahead.
Oh yeah. So like what sort of sacrifices did you have to make, right? Or even just like how do you balance it all, you know?
You mean work-life balance in a sense?
Yeah.
So this is actually straight to the heart of it, where I feel horrible a lot of times. Feel like I'm not a good enough dad. I don't spend enough time with Kira. And so both me and Ivy, we feel like we should have been spending more time with her. So that's the biggest sacrifice, I think, is not to be able to spend time as a normal couple that, always spending time with their kids, really taking them out. I still find myself prioritize company over times that, taking her out. And so I think Ivy can speak to the same language, but I think that's our biggest sacrifice. And we, like both me and Ivy, we haven't even had like an official honeymoon. We work, wedding, and go back right into work for the past, I would say, 7-8 years. We never really had like an official honeymoon anywhere. Our longest, I would say, vacation that we go as family, sometimes only about 10 days or so. And it happened very rarely. I would say like every couple of years or so. So, I mean, the sacrifice is there, mainly because of the work-life balance. We still prefer work because that's where we found most value in our line of work. And we feel like that's what we should do right now when we're at this age, when we're still in our mid-30s, that we should dedicate all of our youth to this cause. So yeah, so that's the biggest sacrifice, if you ask me.
Yeah, dude, thank you so much for sharing that, Viet.
Yeah.
That is something that not many people, right? They'll do the 9 to 5 and they really care about watching TV, watching sports, like just spending time online or video games. And I guess for others, it's just like, I guess the priorities, right? And if you find your purpose in life, your calling, it's like, you just got to do it.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's people that out there, there's a saying, right? There are 2 most important days in your life. Like, the day that you were born, obviously, because that's brought you to life. And the day that you find out why. Yeah. Because a lot of people can live their whole entire life, but they never find their reasons. They never find their calling. And it's difficult. So I'm just one of the luckier ones where I found out my why very early on in life. So.
Yeah. I think I'm kind of privileged too. I spent a long time like asking questions too and wondering like my why too and my purpose. And I guess it's just the ability to like connect with people. Like people say I'm a good listener and I'm empathetic and I'm a connector, right? So it's like if I try to help out and try to like, everyone, I think that people are just so isolated now. And I really want to build community as well. Like for instance, during the pandemic, I felt I was going through mental health issues. I mean, struggles, suicidal, depressed. And I was like, social media is toxic. So I was inspired because I organized a group hike and then people came and we hiked and we laughed and it was just like community building, and I got like 100-person Facebook Messenger group chat. And I felt from my community, I felt both like love and eventually just because of the stress of the situation at the time, even hate as well. And it was just a difficult situation, but I learned a lot.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, no worries.
To your needs. But yeah, so, I mean, yeah, I can totally understand the whole pandemic and mental health issues. I mean, I'm going through, I say that I'm going through because I'm still going through it. The whole entire roller coaster of the pandemic. People think that the pandemic is over, but the remnant of it, the effects of it is still being felt today, especially when you run a big company, or even mid-sized company, which is we are mid-sized, we're not a big company. You can see the effects that is actually putting on your employees, or even your managers, or even your stores, or even your customer. It's tremendous. And so having more people going out there and really speak about this, I think is the most important thing. Mental health is now, I would say, forefront, which I really appreciate people to speak out about it. You know, we also have like high functioning depressions, as you know. I just appreciate people just really go online and really talk about what they're feeling without, you know, feel like they're being judged. And that's, I think, that's most important thing that came out of the pandemic. I think more people should do it, especially younger people, because not just older people or, you know, middle age. But I think even people in the teens and 20s should even talk about the mental health. This country needs that right now. If you ask me, I mean, how many shootings do we have? I think the problems with obviously gun controls is something that we need to discuss, but you know, equally important would be mental health issues. So, and you did mention about depression, suicidal. All of those need to be talked about.
I'm really I mean, we need solutions, right? We need to kind of like, because people are like, they're hurting. So.
Yeah. I mean, the fact of the matter is too, is a lot of people, and I feel I talk to a lot of friends and families, but also, you know, customers and employees. The ability to sit down in one table and discuss differences was not there. So either you're from the left or from the right. Either you're, you know, you're whatever your ideology is, you should be able to come together and talk about not just your differences, but your similarities. What's your common grounds? How do we solve certain problems? And I can almost guarantee you, you know, obviously I don't know your political standpoint. And even if you talk to someone with a very different political standpoint or completely opposite, I can almost guarantee you, if you sit over a dinner or a cup of coffee, you will find similarities somehow. And so I think that needs to be highlighted. I think that needs to be discussed. I think that needs to be encouraged. You know, people are angry, right? People are angry about a lot of things. But like you said, being empathetic, you know, like you said, you went to the Like a Boss event. You know, we want to keep reiterating that message of we're not here to compete. None of us here to compete. The economy is big enough for all of us to be multimillionaire, right? California is now what, the 4th to 5th largest economy in the world, just by itself, just a state. There is enough lane on the freeway for all of us to drive, right? So I think it's important that we talk about sharing, talk about empowering, talk about mental health issues, talk about differences, but also similarities. We just need more platforms. I feel like after the pandemic, the platforms are being taken away. So we need to create more platforms. And hopefully, you know, Kei Concepts or Kei Media would be one of those platforms where we can come together and we can discuss, right? Not just how, you know, it's okay for us to debate. You know, the fact that we cannot even debate intelligently is a problem, right? Logically, intelligently is a problem. So that's why podcasts like this is also very important for people.
Yeah, I do feel that. Can you tell us more about your media arm that you're trying to build with
Yeah, like I said in the very beginning, Key Concepts has never been a restaurant group. We're always a financial firm and investors in all forms of art. So you will see more of us in fashion. You will see more of us in media. You will see more of us in event, and you will see more of us in all forms of art. Maybe a film. So we can't go into much details yet, but you will see a lot more of us in all types of different forms of art.
Yeah, that's really exciting just to see that. I didn't understand that you guys were like a financial kind of that element there. That's very, very, very cool.
Yeah, because a lot of people look at us, they all see restaurants. I can just urge people just to go out into one of our events and you would understand it. It's very different when you're in that same room, right? Sitting, in the same room with people that already made it, right next to you, or last time I said, we have the greatest MC of all time in Paris when I was there, Kei Yun. We have actors, we have lawyers, we have board of directors, we have people that work from Cheesecake Factory, banks, community leaders, CD managers, all in the same room. It's powerful, knowing that, we all came together to listen, to share differences, to debate differences, to share similarities is I think, powerful. The more of that you join, the more events that you would come, you would see, and you would be able to make connections, and help each other out. That's the number one thing. How do we help each other out? When people ask you, aren't you spilling out too many secrets? People would know more. You have more competitors. I'm like, but that's what I want. That's the mission of the company, is literally create more competition so that, the community would rise, because the more competition that you have. Imagine if Boeing is the only airliner in the world, you would not have the level of, I would say, quality that you have today, right? You need to have that Airbus, you need to have that, Virgin Electric, kind of always racing to make better planes. That's why you have better planes. Or phones. Imagine if Samsung was not in the race. Imagine Xiaomi is not in the race. Oppo is not in the race. Imagine iOS has no Android. How would that world be? So I think it's important for us to know that, the economy is big enough for everybody. Competition is good. And, what am I complaining? If there's no more competition in Little Saigon, our houses prices are going to go up because everybody's trying to come, they try to compete. So I'm super excited for it, to be honest with you, about this whole world of sharing and collaborating. And, as a company that invests in people, the more people win, the more win for us. Imagine if someone compete with us and they go out and open another restaurant group that's doing really well. They're not going to be able to fund everything themselves, right? We'll invest in it. We'll make sure that they're gonna be able to succeed. And, even if we just own 10%, 20% of this rising star of a company, whoever that's going to be, great, So that's another side of us. That's another angle of what Key Concepts is all about. We're not just creating brands so that we'll be the only winners. We're creating brand to make a statement, to lead the way, but to also inspire people to do the things that we do and do it better, beat us to it. We cannot be more happy if people beat us to our own game.
Yeah, that's really different and really inspiring, and I'm inspired by that too. And I do network with other entrepreneurs and hustlers, and one of my buddies, he just says like there's a lot of good food in China that he wants like over here, and I just like kind of like, oh wow, yeah.
Exactly. And then that's what we need. So we need to create a platform, not a restaurant group to try to win it all. So as long as our platform is strong and everyone can latch into the same platform, we should be able to invest. We should be able to inspire, and we should be able to bring people together. And that's the mission of the company, right? So I think it's important to kind of get that message out there. That we're not here to fight. We're here to improve. Kind of like if you talk to Share Tea in the same plaza or Brodar in the same plaza. I mean, we have E9, Vox, Kin, Roll. We're opening C soon in there. If you ask every single businesses in there, sales have been going up, not down. So we're not really competing. We're adding value to the piece of real estate. And so if they open more things in the same plaza, guess whose sales is going to go up? Our sales is going to go up. So like, why are we competing? Well, we can be stronger together, a lot stronger together. And so if I can share with you how we did it and you be able to, apply it to your own venture, your own business, you should do it. Do it. Go out there and compete and, win. We all going to win. If we really want to compete, we band together and we compete with the big dogs, right? We compete with the big names and, the mainstream, restaurant group, compete with that, because we can band together and compete with that, and bring more business to Little Saigon. So I'm very rooted in the community. I'm gonna die here. That's my mission in life. Is I'm gonna build this city block by block. I'm gonna spend the rest of my life in Little Saigon. So I'm very committed.
I love that too, because I mean, growing up in this day and age with change happening, I mean, I see people like kind of giving up on, maybe the country, maybe their local neighborhood people aren't showing up, and people are like even considering like being like expats, digital nomads and stuff. Like, yeah. I was just wondering like because you're different, right? You're like trying to like, hey, let's stay here, let's fight, while other people are just like, let's take an easier path. It's different.
It's actually not easier, it's hard. It's just that there was nothing here for them. And so creating this community to support and to have a platform so that they can bring their talent back was important. Imagine Paris by Night wasn't here. Then all of the singers would be all over the world. Because right after 1975, everybody was everywhere. But Paris by Night brought people to Paris for the first time, and in Orange County, and that was the place for all forms of arts, performing art, to come to Little Saigon at that time. And so without having that patron of art, we wouldn't be where we are today. Paris by Night, Asia at that time. And now we feel like we're contributing to it. So Kei Concepts has been building these great platforms, hopefully, so that talents, makers, chefs, restaurant managers, anyone from the hospitality industry to come and to flourish and to work with one of our restaurants, and we can commit to create an environment for them to thrive. And so I don't think being an expat, being, all over the place is easy. Like you said, it's actually very difficult. But it's also difficult here. And how do we make it easier for them to come back is another thing that we're trying to do. I think that's the main goal. That's the main focus of our company.
Yeah, that's really cool. I was also had another question. I was curious about community building, but maybe on the level of like even just like with the like high schools or like middle schools and stuff. Do you like do stuff in that area as well?
What was the questions? What are you trying to get to the answer to of that question?
Yeah, so I'm sorry about not being specific enough about the question, but just that because I still feel that like I see what you guys are doing on social media sometimes, but it's still like not everyone's still aware of what you're trying to do. Like after like you're talking to me about this, I'm like it's much more there's clarity on my end, right? But I guess other people they can't, the message isn't getting to them. So
well, not yet. So let me give you a great example. of this. So the way that we do it is we have to do it at the right time, at the right moment. So we had this idea for a very long time. The reason why we have not communicated directly like this is because we felt we're never ready. If you look at Apple in the very past, if you ask Steve Jobs can kind of sum up everything that he does, he would say that he just wanted people to experience technology without the frictions. It should be magical. That's why they use the word magic a lot, right? This magic keyboard, magic this, magical. And so when he found a company, he wanted to create not a computer, right? It's not something that without a heart. So that's why with Macintosh, when he was trying to do the Macintosh, what was the first thing that the Macintosh said to you? Hello, right? You turn on the screen and that's the first thing is say hello in a human form, not a computerized, text. It's a human form. For him, it's always about that. So when he got kicked out of the company and got the CEO of Pepsi at that time to run the company, he ran it like a company, right? And then so obviously he went on to, invest into Pixar, which is storytelling. And then he invested into another company called Next, right? And what it was is that a tool to make it magical for students to learn things. And when he came back, what was the first thing he did? He slashed all the other scientific products and he launched a campaign called Think Different. And people just didn't understand what it was. So if you look at the all of the ads, right? Here's to the crazy ones, that whole entire video. And at the end, it just said, think different. And so customer would look at it like, wait, what are you selling? Because it's not even a single thing about, computer or phone or nothing. It's just like a bunch of leaders and philosophers. And here's to the crazy one. And at the end, it says, think different with an Apple logo. Like, what the hell is that? And they didn't understand it until he would then later on slowly launch items. And he didn't tell, this one have 512 megabytes. Or he didn't want to come out and say, you see the CD has 10 songs, but my iPod is 500 megabytes. What does megabyte even mean? But he walked out with something, he pulled out of his pocket, like imagining that you shuffling all of the CDs and forget about that. This little device, amazing sound, hold 1,000 songs in your pocket. Think different. He wasn't trying to sell you a CD player, a song player. He sold you a magical ideas of having the whole entire music library with you, right? And so I think right now, most people think we as a restaurant group is because that's what we're selling them. That's the actual product of it. But if you go to our event, we're going to talk about art. And we're going to talk about liberal arts. We're going to talk about arts of all forms. It might make no sense to you now, but it will become very clear in a few years. So we have a philosophy, we have a trajectory. We're in that think different trajectory. So if you look at all the things that we do, it might not make any sense, but I can swear to you, 2 years from now, looking backward into your first event that you ever been to with Kei Concepts, you're like, so that's what they're trying to do. So give me a couple of years.
Okay, and I'd love to help out in any way possible with your vision. Like I'm really inspired by just like your heart and your character. Yeah. So
yeah. Well, thanks so much. And like I said to all of my staff too, if it wasn't for this company and I had to be a CEO for a little bit, I would 100% be either a politicians or, just running a nonprofit organization. Like that's just who I am as a person. That's what I want to do. So I'm very happy to work on that next year. I have some major announcement next year of what I want to do in my life. Right. So when, my wife is the sole CEO of a company, I have a very clear vision of exactly what I want to do. And you see a lot more of me representing not Kei Concepts, but Kei as a whole, media, foundations, charity work, community work. So I'm going to be focusing a lot of my time with the community. And you see a lot of me doing other things that relating to different arts, especially liberal arts.
Yeah. Do you still feel like the story of the David versus Goliath? Do you still feel like you're like a David?
It's a good question. It is in a sense, but we can touch base on this in 2 years. How about that? In 2 years, I'll give you a progress update. But yes, in a sense it is, but I feel like it's a lot more of that angle now. So that story is being told multiple times without context a lot of times. So I feel like there's different angles now that we can look at it. I'll give you a progress update in 2 years.
I look forward to that, Viet. And I guess maybe one last question, maybe the whole, because art, right? Your experience with NFTs, because that's like kind of like digital JPEGs. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's great, dude. I think it has a bad rap right now. It's just the usage of it is not being fully utilized. I'm a strong believer in blockchain technology in its own. Obviously, there's some stupid NFTs projects out there that's doing, rob people money. I'm not downplaying that, and I think it's dangerous. But the same thing with do you remember the first few iPhone apps? There's literally the one with like freaking like a beer mug on a phone and literally just do this, or like what is it? A candle. Yeah, I remember that candle app. So it's just literally just a candle, and you move it around. It's kind of like moving around, and when you blow into it, it was actually turned off. What does it even do? Nothing. And it's literally just collecting information so that they can use something else later on. But things like that. I mean, we're in that stage right now where it's going to be stupid things like that. It's going to fly out there. To me, I feel it's okay as long as you don't spend your fortune, going into it. But some of the art's going to pop. Obviously, you already saw a few very successful ones. I'm a strong believer. I'm a strong believer in blockchain. I'm a strong believer in NFTs as long as they being used correctly. I think, membership is a great thing that we can talk about it. A lot of people don't talk about it, but, obviously real estate can use a lot of it. Insurance can be using a lot of those technologies. Obviously right now, if I tell you right now, if the world is about to end, would you want to carry around, a couple of Bitcoins or gold? Of course, Bitcoin, because you just need your phone, right? Gold, what are you going to do with gold? Like you can't carry it. You can't, it's just, there's going to be thousands of kilograms in your pockets. There's no way you can run anywhere. So I think the usage is there. I think we just need to be smart about it. I have Bitcoins, I have Ethereum, but I have a couple of NFTs. I don't invest too much in it. I still recommend people to spend about 1% to 2% of their net worth on those technology. It doesn't hurt, as long as it doesn't exceed 5% of your total net worth or income. I feel it's safe to do so. But obviously, if you already have savings and all that. So, but I strongly believe in blockchain technology. I think that's going to be a huge thing for securities, right? And I'm talking about securities as in, like insurance and all that stuff too. I'm a strong believer. I think it's going to be great. We're so early in that stage, but I don't think it's going to go anywhere. That's going to be the future.
Yeah, I agree too, Viet. I share the same sentiments. I think it's 12 p.m. and I know you might have another meeting, so
I do.
let's just yeah. Thank you again for your time, and I really enjoyed chatting with you. I look forward to chatting with you again, maybe in 2 years, and just chatting back and forth. Yeah, thank you so much, Viet.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot more events. You're going to see me a lot more in person.
All right. Yeah, that's a wrap. Let's have a good day and take care.
You too. Thanks for having me on the podcast. You might hear about it soon, but I'm actually starting my own podcast too.
Look forward to it. Yeah. Very excited.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thanks so much. Peace.